Okay, so now you've got to, you're going to be using Dr. Racket, okay, and we're not installing it anywhere. You're just going to be using the online tool. So let me get that link. We're going to be posting that link here. So let me put that link in for you here. This thing is called WeScheme, right? And this is the WeScheme editor. So actually no space in between them. The WeScheme editor. And this is what we're going to write our Dr. Racket code stuff in. So I'm just going to schedule this to go out. There we go. Okay. So now when you click on that link, it's going to open up the editor, and then what you have to do is you want to log in first, okay? And I would encourage you, go ahead and log in. So when you log in, you're going to have to give permission for your Google account to use, for WeScheme to access your Google account. So get that done, because you have a lot of, in this place, you're going to want to save some stuff, okay? So, and then once you've done that, you can click Start a New Program. Okay, if you don't save, if you went straight in, you could just begin coding and not log in. But if you do that, you won't be able to save anything. So you won't have this option here for saving until you're logged in. Okay, and you can log out when you're done over here. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through what we're looking at. This is the WeScheme editor here. Let's go through it together. We've started a new program. You can see that in the editor you have two areas over here. On the left is what we call our definitions area. On the right is what we call the interactions area. And then of course you have the buttons up on the top. So definitions and interactions, and together they're what we call the editor, right? This is the WeScheme editor right here. So over here, when I bring my cursor over here, this word shows up, definitions, and when I go to this side, it shows up interactions. So definitions on the left, interactions on the right. Okay? All right, so now, when we are working on the computer, we're making a program, and we're typing up a program, we're making what we call a legal expression. So then this is an expression that if it's legal, then the computer can read it and understand it, and it can evaluate it, right? And when you give it a legal expression, it'll evaluate it. It produces a value, okay? So just like you've been using, writing programs using mathematical expressions since you first learned how to add. Just as in English, there are rules to determine whether a sentence makes any sense. So programs have to also have rules too. A program can be very complicated, but doesn't have to be. The simplest programs of all are just numbers. That's kind of weird to think about, but a number is a program. It's a computer program because it can be evaluated legally as an expression. So here it says, what do you think 4 will evaluate to? So I'm going to go over here and in my interaction side, let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Actually, let me see if I can. No, I don't think I can. I'm going to have to zoom in this way. But if I make this a little bit bigger and I type the number 4 and now I hit enter, what will happen is that it's evaluated. The computer, the WeScheme editor, when I hit enter, it read 4 and it said, okay, the value of this is 4, and it returned the number 4. So this is the first program. It's really simple. It's pretty stupid, basically. It's like if I gave it a word and it just said the word, right? Or a number or a value, and it just says it back to you. But that is the most basic of programs, right? Something that it legally can read and evaluate. So that's what we call it, a legal expression. Okay? All right, what happens when you put in 10? You go ahead and try this now. I want you guys to go ahead, get into the technical math classroom, go to Google Classroom, find the stream, right? It'll be posted in here, and go to the WeScheme editor and start doing that. Let's put some of these things in here. So it says, try typing 4 and hit enter, try typing 10 and hit return or enter on your keyboard. Okay, now try putting in some bigger numbers. Try negative numbers, Okay, what happens if you write a decimal? What happens if you, let's see. What happens when you click on a decimal like 0.75? Well, let's see what happens. Let's just try that. Here we go. So 0.75 and hit enter. Huh. What if I did 3/4? Well, look, it knew 3/4 is 0.75. So you can put in a fraction, right? Wonder what else you could put in there besides that. Okay. Let's try this one. Hey, I got an idea. Let's try, what would happen if I put pi in there? What do you think it's going to evaluate to? Is it going to be able to do it? There it is. It's giving me an approximate value for pi. As you know that pi never really ends. It's irrational and it just goes forever and ever and ever and ever. So it's giving me pi out to so many digits, which is a pretty good approximation of pi. Okay? All right, so what happens if you put something in and it doesn't know what it is? What happens, right? So it says, try asking the computer to evaluate dog. So what happens if I hit dog, D-O-G, and I hit enter? So now I see it says dog. This variable is not defined at line 1, column 0 in the interactions. Saying, I'm looking right here where you told me to look, and I see this word dog, but I don't know what that means. That's a program I cannot evaluate. So this would not be a legal expression, right? Okay, if you're like me and you get screwing around in here and you put a whole bunch of stuff and you're like, hey, I don't want to have all that stuff, you can click run and it'll clear everything out, okay? So by now you're probably going, hey, I don't want to. And if you want to, you can give your program up here, your project you're working on, a name and hit save if you want, and you can get back in here. But we aren't doing anything long-term in here. We're just practicing with the interactions. Okay, so that is an error message, what we just got. Let me go back and see it again. Ready? Dog, D-O-G, and hit enter. So there's our error message, right? If I click here on the link, it shows me where the error was written. It says, hey, the error's right here where you wrote dog, dummy. Oh, okay, well, let's try ham. Oh, it doesn't know that one either. Oh, there it is. That's where the error is. So when we get into writing our programs, this is a very valuable tool. We need to be able to read these are called these error messages, to find what we call bugs in our code. Those are mistakes in the way that we've written it. These are ways of writing code that are not legal, right? So we've got to find those. Okay? And the error messages are really useful. Rather than say it just doesn't work, the computer tries to tell you what went wrong. Gives you as much information as possible to help you fix the code, right? You always want to make sure you read these messages carefully. How many of us are going to have errors in our code? The answer is all of us. 100% of us will have errors in our code. And now the question is, who has the answers to every error? And the answer is, not me. I doubt you do either. I mean, we're going to get errors and we're going to say, what the heck? What's going on? So, you know, instead of just thinking, oh, I'll raise my hand or I'm stuck, I can't do anything, you're not helpless. What you got to do is you can ask for help, right? But while you're waiting, if nobody can help you, you don't just stop. You try and read those error messages to see if you can figure out what it's telling you, okay? And we're going to learn this stuff slow enough that hopefully, you know, if you read your error messages, you're going to be just fine. Okay, it says the circles of evaluation are easy to convert into computer codes, right? Into computer programs. So we're going to actually make computer programs by thinking about a bug, okay? And I'm going to show you how to think about that. So we have, let me write this out. Hold on. Let's do this real quick. All right, so let's say, I'm going to go back to blue, all right? Let's say I had this instruction here, which was 4 minus 5. That's a math expression, right? I can write it as a circle of evaluation that says you're going to be subtracting from 4, take away 5. 4 minus 5. And that's what my thing says now. So now, in order to write this into code, in racket code, what we're going to do, anything that's written in as a circle evaluation is easy to write as code. What you do is you imagine a little bug. Say a little bug is crawling along the screen right here. And what it does is always goes straight into the function. But before it goes into the function, name of the function, which is up here. Before it goes in, it sees the line, the circle. And whenever it sees this line that it enters into, it's going to think about an open parentheses. Then it's going to say, oh, that's this function. It's going to go to the left. And everything that's written down in here, it's going to write down, right? Left to right. And then it's going to see a closing parentheses. So this is how it would be written as a circle of evaluation. Open parentheses, because the bug is entering into the circle. Then a minus sign, because it sees, right here, it sees that it's subtraction. Then a 4, and then a 5, and then a closing parentheses like this, right? So let's see how that's going to work. If I write, and I'll go back to your editor, if I put in over here 4 minus 5, doesn't know what to do. But if I go minus 4, 5, notice the spaces, it says, oh, I know how to do minus. I've learned minus before. It's part of my programmed language. So this says the variable is not defined 4-5. It doesn't know what that is. But if I put parentheses, it says, oh, wait, I'm going to do a function. Oh, cool. Okay, I can do a function. Parentheses tells me I'm going to do something, right? And what am I going to do? First thing is I'm going to be subtracting. Oh, okay, cool. So I've got subtraction. What am I going to be subtracting? And then I have these two numbers. Those are the two numbers that are necessary for me to do my function, subtraction. So, oh, from 4, take away 5. Oh, okay, I'll do that. And I'm left with -1, so it evaluates to -1. Okay? Alright, it says when a circle of evaluation has other circles inside of it, the translation still follows the same rules. Each circle requires a new set of parentheses. Alright, so for example, here we have it written. I'll make the circle, but in fact, I'll go from this code, this is racket code here, and I'm going to go ahead and make the circles so you can actually see them a little bit better. So here we go. So I know I've got a big circle that is a multiply, right? Because that's the first thing that this bug over here is seeing as it goes into the circle. It says, okay, there's a circle, and I'm going to be multiplying. And on the left, it sees a 6. So it's going to multiply 6. And then on the right, what's it going to multiply? Uh-oh, it sees another circle. So I got another circle here. And what's inside that circle? Oh, there's a plus sign. So plus, right? And what are we going to be adding? 4 and 5. So 4 and 5. And then it's got two closing circles here because it's got to get out of this little circle and out of that circle as well. Okay? So 6 times 4 plus 5. What's 4 plus 5? 9. So 6 times 9 is 54. Let's make sure that works if we go into our editor and our code. Okay? So here we go. I want to go times, times, and 9, and then plus 4, 5. What's really nice is as soon as I hit my parentheses, it puts in a closing parentheses for me as well. That kind of help me keep track that I've got an opening and a closing parentheses. Okay, so we said this is going to evaluate to 4 plus 5 is 9. Wait a minute. Was it? Oh, it's supposed to be 6 here, right? So we're supposed to multiply 6 times 4 plus 5, and 4 plus 5 is 9. So this should evaluate to 54. I don't know if I've got that written right, but that's what it evaluated to. Okay? And yeah, 6 times the sum of 4 and 5. Okay? Alright, so now we're taking a look. Every expression, here we go. All the expressions that follow a function named are called the arguments to the function. The following diagram summarizes the shape of an expression that uses a function. So the first thing we have, right, each function use has an open and closed parentheses. So that's the first thing you should notice. Right here and right here, open and close. And then the next thing that you see when you go in, it should see a name. Okay, the name of the function is the next thing that happens. And then there's a space. And then it has arguments. Arguments are the things that the function needs to do their job. So the argument consists of, in this case, the argument of addition, the function of addition requires two arguments, right? Two separate arguments. And what do they have to be? They have to be two numbers, right? Otherwise you can't add if you don't have two numbers. So if you try, it'll be interesting. If you try, what happens if I try doing add? Let's say I'm going to add, but I only put in one number. Well, it assumed, actually, that wasn't that bad because it just added 254 to nothing. I wonder if I could do that with multiply. Let's try this. Oh, just assumed it was 1. How about divide? Ugh. Now, what's going on here? It says divide 254. Notice this error message. Now, really read this error message. It's important. It says divide. That's the name of the function. It expects at least 2 arguments. So divide requires 2 arguments. But it was only given 1. What am I supposed to be dividing? I only got 254. I need another number to divide into or divide by, right? So that's a good example of an error message there. Okay? So now if you go to page 5 in your workbook, you have a chance to practice, make circle of evaluations, right? And then turn them into code. So you can pause the video here, and I want you to go through all of these. It's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes to get through all these. Okay, on page 5 in your workbook. And then write them as code. You can try evaluating them as well if you're good enough to do your arithmetic here, and then try putting them into the WeScheme editor and evaluating them once you've written them as code to see if you've got that correct. So go ahead and pause that now. Okay. It says when expressions don't follow the code rules, the computer will tell you it found a problem. The computer also gives you information to help you fix the problem. That's the error message, right? So here's some of these you're going to put in. If you put 5 times 6, we made a mistake. We didn't put the times in front. Here we had times 5, 6. We didn't put a space between times and 5. Here we did no opening parentheses, and here we did no closing parentheses. So they want us to try each of those. So let's see if we can do that. Here we go. Hit run here to get this open. So if I go 5 times 6. Says, well, I don't know what 5 times 6 is. What if I go 5 times 6 with a space in between? Still says, hey, the parentheses are a function call. I'm expecting a function. And it says that. It's expecting a function because it sees the parentheses. That's a function call. But what did I get? I didn't get the name of a function. I got a value, right? I got a number. I should have been given right here, after the function call, I should have been given a name of a function. That's because it wanted to see the times first. So here we go. Ready? Times 5, 6. So now it's saying, wait a minute, I don't know times 5. That's not a function I know, right? So you have to have your parentheses in there. So what about if we just go times 5, 6, and close our parentheses? What happened there? Let's try that again. Here we go. Times 5, 6, close parentheses. Broken! It's not even willing to evaluate that. It says, function? It says, okay, I can evaluate this. I see a function called times. I see the number 5. I see the number 6, but it didn't evaluate it, right? It's got to be put into the parentheses. That's just the rules. Right? Name of the function, 2 arguments of the function. Name, 2 arguments. Right? Okay. Back here. And that is going to be pretty much the end of this first unit, and the end of this video for sure. It says you've done a lot in this first unit. You took a game apart to see how the parts move. You designed your own game that you'll make during this course. You practice using coordinates to put characters into a screen. You learned about order of operations, circles of evaluation, how to turn circles of evaluation into programs, how to run those programs to get answers. And in the next unit, we'll begin writing programs for more interesting things than just arithmetic. So far, all we've done is arithmetic, but it is going to get more interesting. Okay, I'll go ahead and get you on the next video.